Greetings, greetings. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I am Nicole Everett, your host, and today is Tuesday, August 16th, 2022. And this is a special edition of Conversations with Nicole. I have been doing candidate meet and greets here for the local candidates here in the Tallahassee and Leon County area for my viewers. It's an effort for you to meet them and greet them virtually in a safe space. And we want to hear from you in the comments. If you will, let us know where you are tuning in from. But this is an interactive live, so we definitely want your questions and comments. And my guest today is currently serving as a Leon County Commissioner, but she is running for the mayor of the city of Tallahassee, and that is none other than Miss Kristin Dozier. And so I am excited and delighted to have her here with me today. So, again, if you are tuning in, tag a friend, let them know, especially those here in Tallahassee, Leon County, that they need to be on this live. They need to interact, they need to meet and greet Miss Kristin Dozier. So, I'm going to read a little bit of her bio. And while you all are logging on, we are live on Facebook and on YouTube. Again, tag a friend and let them know they need to be here and get involved in this conversation. I'm going to go ahead and read her bio. So in 1994, Kristen began her career working in her family's business, Mad Dog Construction. She worked throughout Florida and North Carolina on multiple building sites, culminating as the on site superintendent for a $4.5 million student housing complex in Tallahassee. In 2006, she was promoted to Green Building Advisor and Vice President of Mad Dog and became lead LEED accredited professional in 2007. In the fall of 2010, days before being sworn in as a county commissioner, she left Mad Dog to begin her career in public service. Kristen was subsequently reelected in 2014 and 2018 without opposition. While serving the residents of District 5 on the commission, her main focus has been on issues related to job growth, economic development, entrepreneurs, and water quality and quantity. As a member of the Innovation Park Board for more than 11 years, she led the effort to bring a high-tech incubator, the North Florida Innovation Labs, to Innovation Park. When opened in 2023, NFIL, which is the acronym for that, is expected to generate over $20 million in economic impacts for our community and create over 600 new jobs. And boy, don't we need jobs. So help me welcome Miss Kristin Dozier.
Thank you, Nicole. It's such a um, wonderful night to be with you. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Absolutely, my pleasure. So we do have quite a few people chiming in. So I'm gonna just give them some shouts out. Hey, Sunshine, greetings, Jasmine. Jasmine's tagging folks. Hey, cousin Raymond, he's in Virginia, but still tuning in. So yeah, bring them on in here. Sunshine, let them know they need to be here and enjoy and get involved in this conversation. So, Kristen, for folks who may not know who you are, even though I read your bio, I want you to tell us who is Kristin Dozier? Not what you do, but who are you?
Thank you very much. And good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. So I was born and raised in Tallahassee, lived here all my life, was only gone for 1 year. I love this community, and I have had a great honor of serving on the county commission for the last 12 years. But I'll say I never thought that I was going to go in that direction. I am the kid who was interested in news, even when I was in elementary school. I've always been very interested and very active in the community. I grew up with parents who were very, very active and still are. I went for school. I was at Concord initially, pretty far out in Miccosukee, just before it closed, and then Hartsfield, Fairview, and Sale High School. I also went to TCC right after and started working in the family business, Mad Dog Construction.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very eye-opening in so many ways. I mean, of course, I grew up in construction, and it was a unique company. So I really saw the efforts to develop things. I mean, construction takes taking out trees, developing our community, but doing that in a way that really fit the character of our community and was sensitive to the environment and the quality of life.
Okay.
And that was very instructive that we could bring those sides together. The only other thing, I could go on for a while, Nicole, but I will share that as a lot of kids in family business, I took a step out in around 2000, and I went back to Florida State to finish my degree, and it was in religious ethics, comparative religious ethics, and I taught there for 3.5 years. And it may seem like an odd mix, but having land use and construction experience and the experience of having what might have been some challenging conversations about religion with undergrads, really making sure that everyone felt respected and heard, bringing that experience into public service, both on the job sites, but also in the classroom, has been very informative over the years. And I draw on that every day.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a little fun fact there. Yeah, cool. All right. Well, I'm sure that helps to bring about a different perspective as well.
Thank you. Yes, it does.
Cool.
It does.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, let's dive in. I guess first of all, what is prompting you to run for mayor?
Well, I will say bluntly, a year ago, I never thought I would be 1 week from a primary election, challenging an incumbent mayor and someone I served with on the county commission for 8 years. I had a lot of hope. I supported John Daly when he ran for office in 2018. And over the last almost 4 years, I really have been troubled by a number of things. One, I don't think we've done enough work within City Hall to really make it more transparent and accountable, but really also responsive, partnering with the community and making sure that the people we serve as elected officials feel welcome at City Hall and feel part of the process. That has manifested in a lot of different ways over the last few years. It's not all the responsibility of Mayor Daly. I want to say that very clearly. There's a lot of different factors, but he is the lead voice on that commission. The other issue, quite frankly, it's not the only one for sure. Well, there's a whole lot of issues we've got to tackle, but the Doak Campbell Stadium issue that came up last year, I think that really showed a strong difference of opinion on the direction of our community, what we think we need. And frankly, I won't even say that, what I hear from people throughout our community and what they need, and that's jobs and good opportunities. And we just see things very differently. So I was heavily recruited. And I will say that is one similarity to leading up to my decision to run for office in 2009, when I challenged a 3-term incumbent who I respected. Actually, I'll say Bob Ratcliffe, I'm honored to have his endorsement in this race. So we ran a very respectful race and we're still friends. But I was asked by many people throughout our community to consider this, and took a deep dive over the holidays and decided we really need something different at City Hall.
Okay. Well, thank you for answering that. So let's move on to the hot topics. I know, there are many things that are important to you, but kind of your top 3 are environmental issues / smart growth. So tell me your thoughts around that, and what do you believe some of the solutions are for it?
So you mentioned it in the bio, and I mentioned it when I was talking about Mad Dog. My experience with the company throughout my life, but also just before being elected and getting into the sustainable construction model. That approach is not just about environmentally friendly products. It's about the health of our environment within a business, within the home. It's about chemicals that may be used. It's about addressing issues that mold, other things like that may impact people's health. So it is a very holistic approach when we talk about sustainable construction. When we broaden that out and think about our community's health, we know that there are areas in our community that have really been left behind for generations. We may see a huge ditch, for example, on the south side, and yet on the north side, we're not going to see that same kind of environment, and it's more dangerous. It's not healthy. Now, I will say we've taken steps at Blueprint with our infrastructure projects to really address some of that. There have been challenges over the years, but I think we need to do a lot more within the neighborhoods. We can't just focus on these big infrastructure projects. They're good, but improving sidewalks, street lighting, having parks, other things, that is a quality of life issue. It's a public health issue. And it actually helps all of the residents increase their property values. It helps build wealth for folks. And we need to do a lot more. We've talked about this. We've studied this forever. I remember reading reports from 03 and 04 about action plans for the South Side, for Providence, for Bond, for other areas. And when I came on the commission in 2010, things looked the same. It made some progress, but I think we need to be much more proactive and really have an action plan for the next few years to get the work done that we've been promising for a long time.
Okay. Yeah, I am involved with the Providence neighborhood, and there has been very slow movement on, some of the things that were promised. Seems like a couple of decades ago now, almost 2 decades ago. And so, now they're new players, and folks are trying to dust off the old plan and try to figure out what's what. And so, but for the people that have been there for the long haul, they want those things that were agreed upon, to come to fruition. So yeah.
If I may just make I know there's a lot of frustration. I mean, whether I'm walking neighborhoods, and I've walked in Providence and many other neighborhoods, or just what I've heard, the county's no longer on the CRA board, but we were on the board for a while. And what I hear at the county commission, I know people are frustrated, and it's justifiable. Every few years, city or county, someone comes back and says, hey, meet with us. Let's come up with a new plan. And you think, boy, we've been there and done that. We were really talking about all these issues, as you said, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, over and over. Incremental progress, a little bit here and there, but we're not seeing it within the neighborhood. So people are justified. And when you are told, oh, we got a plan for that and it's coming, if you have heard that before, it's kind of hard to, trust that is really going to happen.
Right.
I think, and that gets to some of the transparency and accountability. We don't just need to have a study and have a community meeting and a plan. We need to have a 5-year implementation plan. When are we going to get these things done? Government, it takes a while. We got to get the budget. We got to get the funding, all of that. But we need to keep our promises. And I think having a strategic plan with a timeline is one of the ways we can do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and segue on to that accountability and transparency of government. I mean, you just gave an example, but tell me, share with us some other opportunities that you think the government can be more transparent and more accountable.
So I first want to say this. We have a lot of incredible people that work for the city of Tallahassee in all the different departments, from neighborhood affairs, public works, to just across the board. And they serve our community very well every day. So when we talk about the transparency or accountability issues, really I'm talking about the management and what starts at the top. We have not, and I'm not just talking about the investigations and all of that from past years, but that is part of it. But we've not really taken a deep dive in a long time to do, and this might be a little wonky term, but what I've termed a performance audit of the city government to make sure that our departments are collaborating, that they're working together, that we give a voice to city employees to really let everyone know what they're hearing from the community, because they're the boots on the ground. They're out in the community. They're hearing directly from constituents sometimes that commissioners might not hear, or the mayor might not hear.
Mhm.
But we also need to look for efficiencies so that we can serve the people of our community more quickly and save some money, quite frankly. We got a lot of needs, and I think there's a lot of ways where we could save money. The last thing I will say on this is I think a lot of us have felt for a long time, and I hear constituents all the time, particularly from the nonprofit community and community groups, tell me at the county that it is much easier to work with county staff than it is to work with city staff.
Mm.
And that's not an individual at the city. It's because
Mhm.
of the system we have. That one department is in a silo and then another department, or too many decisions are at the management level and they're not really free to elevate these issues. When you come to the county, our staff, and there's always improvement, but much more collaborative, just responsive, and they're very quick and open. So I think we could do a lot better job at the city empowering our employees, but also just improving the system so the government works for the people who we serve.
Interesting. I hadn't heard that, but I have heard that meaning, county is a bit more easier to work with. But I have heard that they're very siloed in, some of the actions and things that are done, and that you can get different answers for the same issue.
Yes.
Like there's lacking some uniformity in some regards. So,
That's it.
mm,
And our city employees have been put in a tough spot in recent years, for
mm,
sure. I mean, when bad news happen, it might be on the commission level or the management level, but I know that it impacts everyone within the city, and it kind of has a chilling effect. So that's why I really want to recognize their efforts. And one example, and I am not just going to use county examples, but this is just one experience at the
mhm,
county. We would need to reflect on the city and what we need there in a unique way. But we have a program at the county that empowers our employees to find ways to save money.
mm.
And over many years, they've saved, I don't have this number written down, but I think it's around 60 million.
Whoa.
And it's everything from a recommendation from someone in Public Works to have a shared tool shed with lawn equipment. So we
Mm,
don't have tools for every different, crew that's out there. But there was just an improvement in the system to check this out. Well, that's a very simple thing, but you don't really know that unless you're on the ground and you're the guy, with the weed eater out helping
mhm,
improve our right of way. But they've also found, some interesting discrepancies. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but one of them that stands out was some discrepancies in city utilities, quite frankly. And we saved some money there. So it's empowering for our employees to lift up those issues. And we actually have a recognition every year for those who really save the most or find really creative ways to improve our systems. Again, it could look very different at the city. The city is much larger than the county, budget-wise, department-wise. But I think those are some ideas that we could build on at the city.
Yeah, that's well, it sounds innovative to me. I've never heard of it. I think that's great. And I think people in their jobs want to do well and add value, and being recognized for helping to have a cost savings. That's big, if you ask me.
And then to trace it back to how it benefits folks living in our community. If we're
Mhm,
saving money within just our systems within city government,
mhm.
well, that's more money that we can put to the programs that we really need, and helping address some of the critical issues that we have in our community, but also take advantage of the incredible partnerships we have and opportunities we have to grow our community and provide opportunities.
Absolutely. All right, I'm going to pause right here. And for those of you who may be just joining us, I am talking with Kristin Dozier. She is actually currently the a Leon County Commissioner, District 5, but she is running for the office of the mayor of the city of Tallahassee. So this is an interactive live, so we welcome your questions, we welcome your comments, and this is an opportunity for you to meet and greet her. So we've been talking about some of the issues that are important to her. one of which is environmental smart growth. And we just were wrapping up our conversation around transparency and accountability in city government specifically. So, Kristin, one of the other areas of importance to you is jobs and economic development, which you kind of touched on a little bit, but you know, talk to us a little more about that and what you believe some of the solutions are for that.
So I will just say bluntly, when I was first elected, I would not have been able to tell you that this was going to become one of my primary focus. I mean, we know we need jobs, but serving on the Innovation Park Board was a real eye-opener, and I'll come back to that in a second. But more broadly, looking at our community and looking at other communities and how they've really partnered so well with community colleges like TCC or private organizations, nonprofits that have training programs, and how impactful that could be. Now, I am a woman who came up in construction. It was a little unusual to be a job site superintendent at 26. I worked with folks who were actually hired by Mad Dog from Labor Finders or Action Labor, and maybe some had a record, maybe some didn't, but they were incredible people, and they were great employees. And others who had incredible skills but didn't quite know how to build a business. Or maybe they had started building a business, but they were at their kitchen table and they needed just a little extra to help grow that business. So bringing that experience in and then going to Innovation Park really was eye-opening, because all my life we've heard we need to diversify this community. We've got local businesses, the jobs, right? Yeah. We got the universities, we got the state government. We are luckier than most to have two incredible universities. And the way a lot of communities bring all these pieces together, job training, growing jobs, supporting our local businesses, and bringing in new businesses, is focused around what is unique about us. And for us, that is the research and technology coming out of the universities. The engineering school, I mean, they have done such incredible work over the last decade. And I'm proud of the partnership. I recognize their work and the partnership that has strengthened between FSU and FAMU. But whether it's pharmacy or agriculture at FAMU or material science at FSU, we have incredible innovative ideas coming out of these universities. But when they get an idea to build a company, these folks would have to leave town to find a space in Gainesville, Orlando, someplace else to grow their business. And it's not just the universities. I'll give you one example. We had a young man who was a veteran from Gaston County. He went through Embry-Riddle. He came up, and I couldn't tell you what exactly it was, but some part for jet engines that just blew everybody away. Incredible investment. He had to go to Orlando to have space to build his company. And he has told us that he much rather would have been here. So why is this important? We're building that incubator you mentioned. This is a project of 8 that I've spent 8 years on. Other communities across the country, but I'll just point to Gainesville, they get more small business, local business growth, recruit more companies, and grow more entrepreneurial companies because they have invested in the incubator space and really supporting those businesses and giving them the tools and cheap office space to help them grow. So it has a compounding effect, and it's a niche that others don't have. We have never done that. We are at a tipping point right now where we are starting to do that. But the last thing I'll say here is Domi Station, their work with primarily with FAMU, but also with FSU, Women's Wednesday, and the work that Barbara Westcott and her team have done in their programming, and really talking about the power of women entrepreneurs. And we know Black women entrepreneurs are just succeeding across the country, and definitely in Tallahassee. These types of programs really help illuminate what we as local government can do. So I went on for a bit about that, Nicole.
Oh, that's fun.
But it is It is something that I'm very passionate about, and it connects to being able to afford your rent, being able to afford to purchase a home and build your family wealth, being able to support yourself and your family. So when we talk about poverty, when we talk about affordable housing, when we talk about generational wealth, all of these things, every time we have those discussions, jobs and wages are part of it. And that's why this is one of the top issues, and we haven't gotten to it yet. It is the main reason why I oppose the Doak Campbell Stadium funding, because I've seen that need. I've seen the power of what we can do to really address those problems for the first time in this community. And the stadium project was necessary, but the boosters had the money to fund it. So I think we could have done a lot more good with using that money for our community. Important. The decision has been made. I have a lot of experience, and as mayor, I can bring that experience into the mayor's office. Just one vote of 5. You are the ambassador for the community. And I think I can leverage that experience to really help bring in these partnerships and address some of these long-standing issues and take us to the next level.
Okay. So since you mentioned Doak again, Doak is done. So now what can we do? Is there, because these are public dollars, can we have some public access or, and not just with FSU, but, FAMU received dollars, TCC received dollars. So is there some type of return on that investment that we as the public here can, negotiate, or the commissioners can negotiate to have, that we can benefit from?
So I think it is a really important question. So I will say first, the time to have a more formal agreement is when we're in that negotiation about doing the funding in the first place. So we've kind of missed that opportunity a little bit to have a formal structure, but there have been conversations, and I trust that both universities, but I'm going to focus on FSU. I'm going to trust that President McCullough and his team are very interested, and they've proven this with other ways of working with our community and really investing in the community. So I think we can build on that conversation. I think it is unfortunate that Doak has become such a wedge issue. I don't regret that it's a campaign issue. The only way you've got to judge, your candidates, your elected officials, is what we say we're going to do, or if we've been in office, what we have done. So I think it's a perfectly legitimate campaign issue, even though it's done. The decision's been made because it really signals how people make decisions and what they think about what we need in our community. But what we do now is keep healing from this, quite bluntly, and looking for ways to partner. And it's not like everything went quiet. President McCullough and FSU have invested in the North Florida Innovation Labs at Innovation Park. They see that benefit, and the project wouldn't have happened without them. So that is significant. For FAMU, last comment, a little different. If Bragg Stadium had closed, it would have had a devastating impact on our community. So it's not just public access. It's if we didn't have FAMU football, that would have impacted so many in our community. Now, you might be about to ask, and I'll go ahead and volunteer it. I was the sole vote against funding Bragg Stadium, but that was because I was concerned about the economic development dollars. At that meeting in September of 20, I was advocating for the city and county to find other funding for Bragg Stadium, and I absolutely would have supported that because we could not let Bragg close. And the resources we know at FAMU are very, very different than FSU. So I was supportive of the project, went out and met with the AD and Coach Simmons soon after. I am extremely glad that it happened, but those were limited economic development dollars, and I really was worried that we weren't going to create enough jobs, have enough money to do the work that we promised the community we would do. And I think we could have found $10 million someplace else. And I wish we would have taken just a little time to do that. And I would have been supportive.
So what do you know what the status is of the coffers now in terms of what's remaining?
So This has changed a little bit. Every spring we get estimates for sales tax revenue. So we were told over the holidays or in December that we would have $722,000 left for the next, I think it was 5 or so years. We expected that to increase. People are spending a lot after the pandemic. Unfortunately, inflation. You're spending more sales tax dollars when you buy something that's more expensive. So it is a regressive tax. We have to remember that a sales tax is. So we did expect revenues to go up. So right now the projections are about $3 million for the next 5 years. And I think it may be still around 12 million for the remaining years of the tax, which goes to 2039. We can do a lot with that money, but we can't do as much as we would have been able to do had we not funded DOKE.
Indeed. Okay. So we have Norris Rashad on. He says, knock a bunch of trees down and add on like outlets and water parks, need more interstates also. So I know Amazon is a big addition to the community. I know that I don't know what the actual economic impact is, but I've been hearing that it's huge. What are your thoughts about, adding more commerce along that I-10 corridor, the exits that we do have?
Well, that's kind of interesting, an outlet mall, Norris, because the county did a land use change, a zoning change back, I think it was around 2012, and it was called an activity center. And we actually thought Mr. Moore, Devo Moore, was going to build out or sell it to someone to do an outlet mall. So Amazon was a bit of a surprise that same zoning could support an Amazon facility. But I think, an outlet mall for our region, and I'm very focused. I won't digress into this, but we need to collaborate more with our neighboring counties, Jefferson, Gadsden, Wakulla, and others. So we could have a real regional impact. So there are certain areas. It's interesting you say knock down a bunch of trees. I mean, an area like where Amazon is right next to the interstate, that is a place where you could see something like that come up. Now, I want to say I've got family in that area and I've represented District 5. So it was a tough balance because they're directly impacted by the traffic, by the lights, by the construction.
Right.
So it's our job to make sure we are taking care of the people there, but still letting development move to help support our community. Amazon's good, but they're $15 hour jobs. We need jobs that pay a lot more and help people advance in their careers as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. So Enigma said discretionary sales surtax.
Interesting. Meaning adding another discretionary sales surtax.
So E, give us a little bit more on that if you can. Okay.
Yes.
All right. All right. And then Bruce is chiming in. He said, let's talk about Kristin's ideas for Frenchtown, Bond, Providence, and Griffin Heights. How do we focus economic development into those areas? So
thank you, Bruce. I know this is a lot of us are talking about this. I think the city has got a great start with the neighborhood first plans. And I won't just say the city. Folks in each of these neighborhoods have done a lot of work. And we talked about this before. More planning over time, one more plan, and we're not seeing action. These plans actually could get us to that next step of really seeing some results. So I want to appreciate everyone who's been involved. But as I said earlier, I think the city government, we need to hold our feet. I hope I'm there, and we'll focus on this. We need to be held accountable to really keep moving this plan forward. One thing we could absolutely do is empower people within the community to stay involved in that process. We don't just need one planning round, but we need to continually check back in with the community and make sure that we are involving everyone in these plans, in the development, and in the, actually implementation of the plans. It's going to take a lot of strong partnerships with community organizations, nonprofits, others. We leave a lot of money on the table with the state and federal government because the city doesn't partner enough with organizations. But I think we also need to really do that infrastructure investment, to improve the sidewalks, other things. But I'm going to give you two more specific examples. One thing that just kind of is an example of something that I know has been an issue for a lot of folks when student housing encroaches on some of the neighborhoods like Frenchtown, Griffin Heights. We can look at our zoning and make sure that we can do infill, meaning maybe small multifamily townhouses or things like that really fit the character of the community, but not have more student housing encroaching on the community, really keep the character of the community. We need to do that in partnership with the neighborhoods. We can invest in areas like Alabama Street and the future grocery store, which I supported, where we could really take a building that hasn't been used in a while and help be a catalyst for change and investment there and bring a much needed resource into the neighborhoods. That is economic development. It is quality of life. It's addressing some of our issues. We need to bring more resources into the neighborhood, but I don't know all the answers. I learn every day from people I talk to, from what I read, from experiences from other communities. And we are at a point where we can really start to harness the power of our community, of our knowledge, and implement these plans.
Sorry about that, Kristin.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
We all do.
Right. So question from Africa, Chef Shack. She said, is there any kind of recovery plan for the loss of $20 million lost in economic development budget?
Oh, Shaq, it's good to hear from you. I unfortunately, the blueprint sales tax, just as a reminder in case folks don't know, we have to go to a referendum when we extend this 1 penny sales tax. So every dollar you spend in Leon County, 1 penny of that goes back into the blueprint fund. And we went to referendum in 2014 for a 20-year tax. So this is all we've got until 2039. It's part of the reason why I focus on the partnerships and drawing down more money from the state and federal government. I don't want to keep going back to the incubator at Innovation Park, but that really is one of the first times that any organization outside of TCC or one of our universities has received money from the Economic Development Administration. We got $12 million. And it was because we had a partnership, because we could work together between Innovation Park, Blueprint, OEV. We put up $2.5 million in FSU to invest in that. And we could do a lot more of that to bring in more economic development resources. One other thing I'll mention, which, Shaq, I hope you don't mind me saying this, but one of 11 businesses that have received a loan through the Revive Loan Program. Office of Economic Vitality, we put up $200,000 and we got $800,000 from the federal government. The Regional Planning Council is administering this loan program, and we did it that way because they had an existing program. They could spin it up really fast and get the money out the door really quickly. So in a year and a half, and I sit as chair of that board, it's a 9-county region board. In a year and a half, and this is dedicated to minority and women-owned businesses, we have loaned out over $500,000 to 11 businesses, like the new cafe, Chef Shack, and phenomenal tresses, a lot of different businesses who are creating jobs, small businesses who are growing their business right here in Tallahassee. And it's really exciting to see that happen. So those are the kind of dollars, it might not be 20 million or 27 million at this point, but those are the kind of dollars that we can bring into the community. And I've been working on these issues for a long time. So I've developed the relationship with Economic Development Administration and others. And I think we could really lean on those resources to bring more money in and help fill the gap. So it's a great question. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Shaq. So we have a question about, and this is from Ms. Johnson. She said, alongside understanding your plan for economic development of the underdeveloped areas, what plan may you have for reducing the brain drain, educated students and professionals leaving the region, which you kind of touched on some with the incubator and what's happening at Innovation Park, but can you just kind of recap and expand on that?
Well, I won't repeat that because thank you for that, Nicole. That is one example for those startup companies, for entrepreneurs. I really want to appreciate what Launch Tally has been doing, a new group that came together this spring to really focus on our tech industry and bring students together with organizations like Tech Alliance and others, but also the businesses who are hiring. We got to build that engagement so that our students at FAMU and FSU know what resources are here, what jobs are here. And we've done some of that over the years. Used to be called Town and Gown, things like that. But I think we could really do a lot more and help support organizations like Launch Tally. There's also some other innovative ideas. I own it. I am a sci-fi nerd. I love it. And Lester Hutt, I want to give him a shout out. He has a new group called Nat 20, and they have these fun events. There's a local and nerd trivia one night. And I have been in groups with professors from FAMU, FSU, students, and business owners doing a trivia game. And it's just an incredible little small group to get to know each other. So I think there's some really, kind of interesting creative ideas, and we need to do a better job supporting those and helping let people know what's going on. The other part is we need to support those businesses, make sure they can grow in Tallahassee. This means everything from, hey, making it easier to get a building permit. Because when it's slow, it costs a lot of money for our businesses. No matter if you're a big one or a small one, big developer, small developer, it costs you money. And time is money. So there's a lot of different things. It's not just one solution. We need to look at this in a holistic way and make sure we are supporting our businesses in all the ways we can. And I think that helps us retain talent. But that connection with the students is really, really important.
Indeed, indeed. All right. So Bruce has got a question, which is around a mailer that's gone out. And this is going to be our last question. Okay. So he says, Mayor Daley and Grow Tallahassee sent out a mailer stating that you have been involved in shady real estate deals. Is this true?
Short answer, no. Thank you, Bruce, for the question and letting me state that. And I got to give a little shout out to Jackson, who's working on the campaign, and he's the one that just shared our website if you want more information. And I'm also going to say, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it, but we have launched a new website called The Daily Fact Check, having a little fun, DAILEY.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
The Daily Fact Check. And just this weekend, we have a blog post there where you can see the entire timeline. This is about a house I purchased in 2015. See the entire timeline, all the documents. So if you want to see it for yourself, it's there. But Nicole, I will make this short. It was a typical real estate deal. It was handled between two realtors. And when I saw the house, my budget was $200,000. I was a single woman with one income. This is my only job. I work for you. And when I walked in the house, she told me who owned it. Tallahassee, we often need 1-2 degrees of separation, and that's it. Kind of surprising. But if you're lucky enough to be able to afford a house, and it was my first single family home, it's just typical. You work through that process. And there have been numbers, with the realtors, you go through your inspections. The place had been a rental for a long time. It wasn't in great shape, which is why it was that price. And we settled on a price, and actually, contrary to what they're putting out in the mailers, it was only $11,000 under the listing price at the time I saw it. Okay. So there's nothing there. I've been very disappointed that someone I served with for so long has gone so negative and brought these issues into the campaign. We should be focused on all of the other issues you and I have talked about tonight, all the good questions folks are bringing forward. That's what we need in our community. That's what we need to focus on. That's how I'm running this campaign. Now, don't get me wrong. Somebody says something about me, I'm going to respond. I'm going to give you the facts. That's what I do. But I will also always stay focused on what this community needs. That's why I'm in the race and why I hope to be your next mayor and hope to have your support.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I see that
Jackson's going a little crazy with all the
he is typing away. But so my next comment was, what are your needs? during this, as we wrap up, and how can folks connect with you?
Thank you. So, Jackson is sharing a lot in the chat with all of the links. It is Dozier for Mayor 2022. That's our website. Email address is on there. You can sign up to volunteer. You could sign up to get a yard sign. You could contact us. Contact me with any questions if you'd like to talk or any suggestions. Got some information about some of the issues, but it's hard to, I love public policy. Our community has so many needs, so it's hard to go into detail about everything. If you don't get your question answered, just let me know. We are in the last week, 1 week from today, about this time, 14 minutes in 1 week, when polls are going to close in town. And I think we all know that this is an incredibly important election. We have more local candidates this year than we have seen in a long time. I don't remember a time when every single incumbent had a challenger. So this is a very big election, and some of these races will be decided in the primary. Our race has 4 people. It may not be decided on Tuesday, but it could be. So I would really encourage folks. Obviously, I would love for you to, show up, and I would love to have your support. But I want what's best for all of Leon County and Tallahassee, and I think we need to hear from everyone now and in November. So if you do want to get involved, contact us. We're sign waving this week. We're walking neighborhoods. We're phone banking. We're doing a little bit of everything. And if we do go on to the general, we're going to just keep it going. And you're going to hear a lot more about the issues as we go into the fall.
Okay. Very good. Well, folks are chiming in, wishing you well.
Thank you.
Yes. So thank you, Kristin, for your time tonight and for sharing what's on your heart, as well as answering the questions. I really appreciate that. And thank you, viewers, for being on here and, engaging, meeting and greeting the candidates and engaging with them. So,
and may I say, Nicole, thank you for doing this.
Oh, no, my pleasure.
People are busy. We're working. We got so many things going on. Giving an opportunity for folks to hear directly from me and others, and for us to hear what issues are on their mind, it's invaluable. So thank you for doing this always. Your conversations are wonderful.
Thanks. Thank you. My pleasure. So I have a couple of more of these. One tomorrow night at 6:30. Another one on Sunday, I think at 3. So tune in, check out Instagram and Facebook for times and whatnot for these conversations. And of course, my regular shows on Mondays and Wednesdays, Mindset Monday and Wellness Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. All right. You all have a great evening, and we will see you later.
Thank you all.
Bye.